Welcome back, mamas. Y'all, I am excited because today we are going to talk about the mindset behind saying no, the mindset that you need to embrace. I've talked about reasons why saying no can change your life, and these make sense, right? But sometimes we still need that strong mindset in order to be able to do it. So I am going to equip you today with some things that will have you knowing and believing that you deserve to say no. So let's get to it. Do you wish you had control of your days, that you had a rhythm, but instead feel overwhelmed, scattered, and like there's never enough time? You're in the right place. I'm Danielle, a recovering workaholic, wife, and stay-at-home mom of 2 girls. I've learned how to reclaim my time and find purpose and freedom so I can be present with my kids and feel like myself again. Here, we embrace where we are, but we don't stay there. So if you're ready to trade the chaos for clarity, the guilt for grace, and the endless to-do list for aligned flow, grab the kiddos a snack and toss in that laundry because I know you're multitasking, and let's do this because your time, your purpose, and you matter. Okay, y'all. So we've talked about saying no and how that can change your life, how it can get your time back, how it can help you to focus on what truly matters to you. And the last kind of piece of this that I felt like really needed to be talked about was this mindset that we may have around saying no and how to change that, how to shift that into one that is empowering, into one that is true. I want to use my own example of my reluctance to say no to things. So I wouldn't necessarily call myself a people pleaser. However, I do like to do things for other people, okay? It actually brings me joy to do things for other people. And so, me saying yes to things that people ask me to do for them, I had always thought was a way that I was loving them, right? I always thought that this was a way that I could show my support for them. I could show my love and care and everything for that person. And it's true. When someone asks you to do something for them, you can do it out of respect, out of support, out of love. But what happens when you are a busy mom and you start saying yes to all of the things that need to be done in your household, as well as saying yes to all of the things that others may request of you, whether it is, your child's preschool that needs help with this project or that project, or whether it is the school PTA that, needs a volunteer for this or that or the other thing, whether it is just coffee or lunch or whatever with a friend that it might be someone who drains your energy, right? It's a friend of yours, but they may drain your energy. These are all things that we need to check in and see where we lie with these things. When we are busy moms and we have a lot going on, and when we are feeling pulled to want more for ourselves, right? We have to start saying no to things. Okay. It is just something that we have to do, and it may feel painful at first, but I want to remind you that it is not the end of the world. It is not unloving to say no. It is not disrespectful to say no. It's actually a disservice to yourself and to your family for you to say yes to things in your life that are bringing you down, that are draining your energy, that are making you not less of a person necessarily, but just feel more defeated. They aren't energizing you. They aren't giving you what you and your family need at this moment. And when you have more time, when you can add those things back in, when you can start saying yes the way that you would prefer to say yes, right? Because I would prefer to say yes to every single meal train and every single request that I get from my church and every single request that I get from my kids' schools. They now are in 2 different schools, so multiple requests all the time. That would be something that would be nice to be able to do. However, If I were to say yes to all of those things, then I would not have any time to do the things that my family needs me to do and to do the things that I need to do for myself, right? There is a balance. There are some things that you can say yes to still. I'm not saying we have to say no to everything, but we have to start figuring out what are the things that we can say yes to and what are the things that we should be saying no to, and what are the things that we will say yes to for ourselves moving forward. And we will maybe start for ourselves. We will say yes to a new opportunity for ourselves. Okay. I want to start with a quote from Steve Jobs. And he says, "It is only by saying no that you can concentrate on things that are really important." It's only by saying no that you can concentrate on things that are really important because we do have only so much time in a day, right? And we can tend to believe that we should be, it's these shoulds, right? These should be saying yes to certain things in our life. It's those things that you might be thinking in the back of your mind, I should say yes, but that you don't truly feel in your heart. Like you feel this little, maybe I should have said no to that thing. Chances are that means you should say no to that thing, right? That you are saying no or you are saying yes out of obligation instead of saying yes from a place of conviction, instead of saying yes from a place of knowing that you can't afford to fit that in right now, a place of knowing that this is something that you can take on at this moment of your life. Okay. So I want to read a quote from Anais Nin. I think it's Anais Nin. It says, "Life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage." Life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. You guys, it takes courage a lot of times to say no to these things because it may make you feel bad, right? Like it may make you feel bad for the person, or maybe you think that that person is going to judge you, or you think that if you don't do this, then what if they think that I don't care? Or what if they think that I don't like them? Or what if they think that I don't ever want to help out ever again and they quit asking me to help, right? Like that's probably not going to happen, by the way. But it is true that you can let what other people think dictate your life if you aren't careful. We can let that dictate our life. We don't know what anyone else is thinking, right? We don't know unless they tell us that our no was upsetting to them. We don't know if it truly upset them unless they say, "That's really upsetting. I cannot believe you said no," right? We aren't going to know unless they tell us, right? So we can sit there and assume what they're feeling or the way that they're going to react or what they think about us for saying no. Or we can decide that we have a good reason for saying no and we know what our no is about. And you don't need to explain your no, by the way. Like that's another little caveat that when you try to explain your no, a lot of times what will happen is you will start to like, it's like you're defending the fact that you need to say no to this. And what happens is that person, they don't necessarily need that explanation, right? Like if someone does get upset by your no, then maybe give them an explanation, right? If that makes the situation feel better to you and to them. But like you are allowed to say no to things. We all are fighting for our time, right? And we have to know what we can and we can't take on. And when we can't take something on, we should not take it on just because of what we are afraid that someone else may think of us if we don't take it on. Okay, another quote I wanted to read, and this one is from John Wooden, and it says, "Don't let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do." Do not let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do. So we can look at this quote in a lot of different lights, right? Like things that we cannot do, like we can't control certain circumstances. We cannot control what other people are going to think or what they are going to say or what they are going to do. So we should not let that interfere with what we can do, right? We should not let that interfere with our no or our yes, right? We cannot control anything else that anyone else does. We can only control what we do, right? And so we should not let other people's thoughts, their responsibilities, right? Because other people have taken on things that they're responsible for and they are asking for your help with that, yes, for a reason, but you should not let that take away from what you can do, right? If that is going to take your time from something that you need to do, something where you've gotten clear now, you know where your priorities lie. You figured out what is important for you to do. You know where your purpose is, your calling is, your mission is. Like this is so important. The work that we do in Prioritize Your Purpose is all about figuring that out, right? Like we want to figure out what our purpose is. We want more for ourselves. We don't know what that looks like, but most likely we want our purpose. We want what we were meant to do, what we're called to do here, right? If you even look at Jesus and his life, right? Think about his calling and his purpose and all the times that he had to say no to people, all the times he was not a people pleaser, right? He had a purpose and a mission, and he could not be derailed from that. You can take so many stories in the Bible and think about how Jesus walked this earth and how he lived his life. And it is a reflection of how we should live ours, right? Not only loving one another, but he was not a people pleaser. He was not a people pleaser. He told no to people that absolutely loved him, cared about him, right? He didn't just say no to people that did not love him, his enemies, right? He told people who loved him, who were following him. He told his mother and his brothers no before, right? There was a time where he was preaching and he was speaking, and they came to him and said that his mom and his brothers were outside the door wanting to talk to him. And he said, "Who are my mothers and who are my brothers?" Like he didn't even know who they were. And he was saying that everyone is his mother and his brother, right? And they were most likely going to try to stop him from doing what he was doing, stop him from his teaching. So he knew what they wanted, right? He wasn't just like being completely rude and saying that. He was making an example. But even Jesus knew what he had to do and that he had to say no to people. There are so many circumstances, even in the Bible, where this is true and how we have to know what we're doing. It's so important. There should be a filter that you can filter this through. When you take the Prioritize Your Purpose coaching, what we do is we get clear on your values. We get clear on your strengths. We get clear on what's important to you at this point in your life. And then we use that as a filter to filter all of your decisions through, so that you know what it is that you're supposed to say yes to and what it is that you have room in your life for. If you want to have an opportunity to say yes to these things that come up at your child's school or whatnot, that is great. That is a priority for you. That is important to you. Then you make that important so that you can say yes to those things. I'm not saying you have to say no to all of those types of things so that you can do what you want to do in your life. I'm not saying that at all. I am just saying that you need to have something to filter this stuff through, and that when you do decide that you've done that, that this saying no, you need a certain mindset in order to be able to do it, right? And this is what I want to help you with, is that knowing that you are confident enough, you are courageous enough, you are worthy enough to say no to others so that you can say yes to yourself and your family, that you are worthy of that, that you deserve that. Your family deserves that. You deserve to be able to say no and to not need an explanation for it, right? I want you to truly feel that in your bones, feel that in your body. I bet that when I say that when your family deserves you to have more of your time, that you are like, oh, yes. But when I say something like you can say no so that you can have more time to do the things that you want to pursue, how then do you feel about that? I wonder how you feel about that because I know that I didn't necessarily feel worthy of that and that I had to do a lot of work on myself to get to that place. And that is a lot of what we do inside my coaching as well. But you can even listen back to some episodes that I've had just over this summer about affirmations, these boundaries that we talk about. Like that is what this is about, right? Like saying no is a boundary. And there are so many more that you can start implementing in your life to build that mindset up, to build that confidence and that courage that you need to be able to say no and to know that you are worth it. To know that you are worth it. So I have one more quote I want to end with, and this one is from Paula Colo, and it says, "If you're brave enough to say goodbye, life will reward you with a new hello." If you're brave enough to say goodbye, if there are people in your life that are not okay with you saying no, that they aren't behind what you want for yourself, they aren't behind, you've even told them, maybe you've shared with them, because some people, they may not understand. If you start saying no to things that you've used to say yes to, if you start to maybe not be able to go out as much with someone who is bringing you down, right? Someone who is draining your energy. Or if you're saying no to help out with events that you used to help out with, or, I'm using some examples from my past. There are going to be people who may have a little bit of pushback on this, right? They may not understand. And even when you explain why you're doing what you're doing, they may not be able to get behind it. And for those people and those circumstances, sometimes you may have to say goodbye or bye for now, right? And you may have to part ways in such a way that isn't going to feel amazing. But as Paula Colo was saying, if you're brave enough to do that, then life will reward you with a new hello. Life will reward you with a new adventure, a new opportunity, something new when you are taking the time to do this work. And it is important work. It is so important to your well being and to your family's well being. When you take the time to do it, though, there's going to be some hard. There's going to be some hard that you might have to walk through. But what is on the other side of that is so rewarding and so worth it that it will make it all make sense. It makes it all worth it. You are going to see the fruits of this in your own happiness, in your own fulfillment. And then that trickles down into your family. Your family is so important in this, right? Like you being a role model, the kind of person that you want your children to look up to, right? You doing these behaviors, you modeling this for your children is going to model for them what it is like to have healthy relationships, what it is like to have a healthy lifestyle. Right? Because we talk about balance all the time as a society, right? And I hate the word balance. I like to call it aligned flow because nothing is ever truly balanced, right? When we are figuring out our priorities, we have to figure out what's most important. Right? It's something where you have to have a hierarchy almost. And I'm not saying that, you have to put your kids below, if you want to pursue a career or put your kids below volunteering or whatever. But I am saying it's a flow and that your kids and your household and all of that cannot get all of your attention during all of the child rearing years if you have decided in your soul that you want more for yourself. That is just not something that's going to be able to be balanced. You are never going to feel balanced if you are putting your kids first and putting your household and everything first all day, every day, right? I am not saying that you don't have that ebb and flow, right? That's what it is. It's an aligned flow. There's all of these things. I usually say that you have like 3 to 5 priorities, values, different things. You're only working on one goal at a time, right? Like I only let you work on like one personal and maybe one professional, right? Like if you have a job or a career that you want to pursue, you're allowed to have like one on each of those things, but you are only working on one thing at a time. But what you're doing is you're creating this flow in your life of things that are important to you. And you aren't necessarily prioritizing one over the other all of the time, right? Like there are times of the day where you're prioritizing your work over your children and you're telling them, okay, during this block of time, mommy is doing this. Or during this block of time, mommy is going to get a massage or going to be working out, or, insert the thing that you're going to do for yourself there. And during that block of time, the kids need to be bleeding or something to be, interrupting you, right? And that is what creates this flow. That is what creates this flow. That is what creates this balance, if people want to call it that, right? Like I don't know what that means. It's never equal on all sides. It can't be. It can't be equal on all sides, right? Unless you're talking about maybe hours in the day, right? But I still think that's a far-fetched thing. Like you can't have the same amount of hours that you focus on your kids that you do, self-care and all of that stuff. Like it's never going to be all balanced, right? It just wouldn't work. So we want to flow. We want an aligned flow that works for us, that goes with your season. It changes. It's not going to be the same forever. You know where you're headed. You know what you can focus on. You know what you have time for. What I have time for in the summer is different than when my kids are in school, right? It's different. It is always changing. What's important to me today won't be important to me in 6 months. There's always going to be different things that are changing. So this is a work in progress, but I am telling you, learning to say no and having that courage to do that and the joy that will come because of it. Okay. This is not something that I am saying you should make other people mad about or anything like that. It is actually going to bring so much more joy and peace into your life when you figure out how to be confident in what you want for yourself and what you want for your life, for your family, and for you to be confident enough to be able to say no to some things that you may have been saying yes to in the past, and that you may actually kind of feel like you want to say no to, because it's a muscle that you have to flex. And it's going to feel really hard when you start to flex it. You're going to be like, oh, but I wish I could. And you do. You wish you could. Like, I wish I could cook a meal for every person that had a tragedy happen to them near me, which has been a lot of people recently, right? But I can't. I can't, right? I wish I was that freezer mom who it's really made me want to be that mom who goes to Costco and like does all of the meals and puts them in these baggies and like has them so that I can take them to these people that need them, right? It's made me want to be that mom or whatever. But is that what I have time for right now? I'm not sure. Like if that is something that's really important to me, I'll figure it out, right? But I don't know if that's where I am right now. And it's okay. And I want you to know that it's okay. And that's going to be okay. And that if that is something that's important to you, you'll figure out a way to make it happen. We will figure out a way to make it happen, right? Okay. So I hope this has landed with you. I really believe this to be an important part of your journey, and I would love to walk through it with you. If you want to do the Prioritize Your Purpose coaching, I would love nothing more to help you figure this out. What I've been talking about in the last 4 episodes is a lot of the work that we do in depth in the program. And I believe that you need this program, because when you try to do it on your own, there's a lot. It's hard. It's hard work. And I will help you figure it out. I've got a process for it now, and I will be there every step of the way. Like I said, to see your blind spots, maybe things that you aren't seeing. I will be there. And so I hope you check it out, prioritizewithpurpose.com, prioritizewithpurpose.com. You can go and click on the coaching. I'll tell you all about it. If you have more questions, feel free to email me, but I would love to do this with you. So go book a session. Okay. I'll see you next week. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, Mama. If so, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and then hit share and send this to a mom who needs this in her day. I'll meet you right back here next week. Keep smiling, y'all.